The anticipation is peaking because we know they are coming. Like storm clouds gathering, the looming threat of the Vikings is upon us. In this preview of the upcoming War Sales DLC, we'll take a deeper look at the Nords, their units, the strengths and weaknesses of their forces, and show you the best way to smash the enemy to pieces on the battlefield. Buckle up.
Brought Khanate too. We'll see. They might be moving up from the south. They were at war with the Southern Empire, and so maybe it's a matter of time before they show up. In any case, we will continue to rebuild our army here, up to 700 healthy troops, so looking pretty good. And make an army there. There's the Khan, Manchug Khan. Has a large force himself, but obviously we want him to build an army, so kind of baiting him here, right? We're not concerned obviously about the campaign, just trying to get at least one good huge open field battle with the Khanate. Usually he forms them, but it says he's running from me. I don't know. Sometimes there's a random element to it, so well. And well, they're not his armies, but this will work. 666, we got the Devil Khanate force coming in here. I don't think there's any reinforcements. You know what? We don't need any reinforcements. We got a strong enough force. Almost 800 troops. We'll be 800 when we heal. If Modchug turns, it's going to be hard. Now they're running? These troops are running from us. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. There's no way that we out power bar them. We've got mediocre troops and everything, so that figures. We finally get a huge Khanate force and they run. Sometimes, man, the pain of being a YouTube content provider. And here we go. Now they're turning. All right, let's start an episode right here. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment's YouTube channel covering all things Bannerlord. We continue to explore the 1.3 beta and a bit of a Nord preview here. This series, we continue to pit this highly unusually modded version of Bannerlord 1.3. We have a Nordic Sturgeon army, and we're going to fight some horse archers here. Give you a little look here at Eric the Red. We've done our best with this campaign to make it very similar to the Nord campaign, right down to this great mod, which puts a lot of units like the Ulfandar into battle. Ulfandar, I think that's how you pronounce them. We've got a bunch of mediocre troops, and we're up against a large Khanate force, but we've got a big bag of tactics that we're dragging behind on us. It's clanking on the ground because it's so large, and we've got just the medicine that ails us here. I'm going to save because we're actually going to do this battle twice. The first time I'm going to fight on the ground, and the second time, for instructional value, we will do an RTS overhead, and we'll see how close we can get these battles, right? It may be that we're a lot less effective with the RTS overhead. Now we're going to switch a few banners here. I want decreased taken ranged attack damage. This one, Testudo Standard, is your banner of choice against the Khanate. She's the skirmisher captainess. She will help. That'll help that division survive an onslaught of arrows. Same thing with our archer division. We're going to have 50, 60, 70 archers. We want her to crew and captain their main division. Decreased ranged taken damage, right? That way she has basically a big advantage against the enemy horse archers. Not really any perks that we can do here. Eric the Red at this stage is turning into quite the beast, and we're going to cut some horses apart in this episode. We are going to do an Inner Circle of Hell tactic here. A lot of friends of the channel are familiar with it. I think this is going to be effective, even with infantry. Now, it'd be better with cavalry. In fact, we did tests for this series. This is better with cavalry. They just absorb more of the enemy cavalry blows, but I think this will still be effective. Now, unfortunately, it's put us right at the edge of the map, so I'm going to push forward here. We're going to fight like men. We're not going to fight at the back of the map and exploit it. We're going to run up there somewhere. We don't want to put all our units on the side here either. These are options for you if you got to win, right? Put yourself in the corner where they can't circle you. You should be able to win battles. You won't win in the open, but that's not how we're going to fight here. We're going to fight as if there wasn't the ability to get to the edge. And in some maps, you just can't get to the back of the map. So we want to give you guys the recipe of what's going to work anywhere. Open field battle against horse archers. We're going to give you the recipe. Now it starts with the circle, right? We're going to have about a third of our troops, maybe a little bit more of our infantry in a circle. I would say 30 meters across, no more. You don't want it to be super wide, but you don't want it to be super tight either, because then none of your archers, none of your skirmishers, none of your shock troops have any elbow room inside it. You want these guys to be able to wind up and swing their polearms sideways and over the top. Now, we've got some shields mixed in here. I don't like a lot of shields mixed in with my polearm division. But that's pretty good, right? So the first division, of course, is the circle. 6th is skirmishers. And I'll let you guys just note how we built these with the preferences. The second division is our best troops. So it looks like there's about maybe 40 or 50 of the Huskarls in there, our tier 6 infantry, and they are at the van, right? They will be in the front, the vanguard, the circle repels the flank attacks, and that vanguard is going to stop anything that charges our center. Let's get some captains assigned here. And again, note how we assign the units here. Lowest tiered for the circle. I don't need these guys to be strong. Even a little brigand or something with a spear actually makes it for a decent circle, because they'll stand cavalry up when they charge. They don't do any damage, right? They're really weak, but I don't need them to, right? The rest of our troops are going to kill. We've actually got 84 archers, so that's going to work. We'll have 2 archer divisions. Let's see, the 4th and 5th is archers, 6th is skirmishers, and we have to have this 7th division because the game is saying we have horse archers, but we're going to dismount these proud sturgeon nobles. And again, we'll move away from the back of the map here, but this is roughly what it looks like. Skirmisher division, archers behind them, shock troops in the center, vanguard out front, and then we're just going to manipulate and maneuver on their horse archers. Lots of movement in this battle. That's why we will do an overhead perspective of this. Let's see. I think we're good here. 93. We can have a few more infantry in that circle. I wouldn't do more than about 40% of your circle, though. They're defensive, right? That circle's not going to do much damage besides throwing weapons. So don't overdo the circle. We got a little ridge here that's even going to prevent their archers from shooting us too bad. This is going to work beautifully. Now I got to rebuild it here, and this is hazardous in the open. I don't recommend a newer player, a newer tactician try to rebuild all these formations, especially with these little tiny hard to see arrows. But we should be able to make this work. 3rd division in the center. Part of the reason this is so effective is those shock troops kill things that are not moving very well, but things that are moving kill shock troops, right? Archers, shock cavalry just mangle your Manablions and your line breakers. You got to protect them. If they get hit with couch lance, they're dead. So the circle protects the shock troops protect the circle, and I'll come over to your house or your apartment, wherever you are, and I'll protect you. I'll beat the shit out of your neighbor. You just let me know, friends. Now that's a little tight for the circle. Let's make it just a bit bigger. This takes practice, right? Making it bigger, smaller, moving it around. With the mouse, you click, hold, and drag, and that's what makes it bigger. I don't know, you console fellas. Guys always ask, how do I do that in the console? I need you console friends, fans of the channel, experienced tacticians to help the console guys. I'm not gonna, apologies, I'm not that big of a Bannerlord fan. I'm gonna run out and learn how to play on console. All right, and we're getting a little cocky, a little bit overconfident perhaps with Eric the Red, but now we got high athleticism. I got a shield, I've got javelins, and we've got the enemy right where we want them. They're kind of spinning back and forth, and they're in the vice, right? We're already pounding them with arrows. Now they're moving, right? They're not just going to stand there and let us shoot them. But I like this kind of exchange, right? In fact, we could move. It's really weird. Normally they circle counterclockwise, and we left them plenty of room to do it. I'm not sure why they're not circling, but whatever they do, right, we will deal with it. Our 2nd division, again, is up front here. There's a number of reasons why this is important, right? Partly, these guys have great armor, a shield, defense, they're going to survive a lot longer than your lower level troops, right? This is the origin of the vanguard, right? The best troops being out front. This is why. Look at this cocky flag bearer just standing there. Kill that guy. This guy. Yeah, you keep getting closer there, you dipshit. Oh, they're like charging our center. Yeah, you guys go ahead and charge. Get a little closer, sweetie. This is beautiful. Oh, they got Cav charging our 2nd Division too. And it doesn't really matter what they charge, right? They charge our circle, it'll be just as ugly. Now, it does look like what they're doing is buying time for the rest of the troops, so let's pull back. They got archers and infantry moving up and get these 3rd Division reset here. You're going to see me intermittently charge with the 6th and the 3rd, especially now that they're starting to circle us. But that 2nd Division will stay out front. I want them absorbing enemy attacks. I want them absorbing arrows. And we're going to be hiding in this circle a lot. The archers are still shooting. The skirmishers are still skirmishing. Right? The shock troops are still shocking. And Eric the Red is doing Eric the Red kind of stuff here, right? Just brutalize some horsemen. I like to stay right at the edge of the square. That way if I start to get mobbed or shot, you can just retreat. Oh, look at this guy, fucking traitor. They had all Hendar on their side. And you notice the Cav charge, you just take cover, right? You can just hide behind this vanguard square. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's just out front like a battleship, absorbing everything. You little fuckers coming after me. See you in hell. All right, it's getting messy back here, but let's concentrate on these guys a little bit, right? Every once in a while, I'll glance back behind me to make sure that 2nd Division isn't being mobbed, but it's horseman killing time, and they are being mobbed. All right, let's get this 1st Division up here, too. The circle is no longer necessary, so we charge with that division. The 2nd holds defense. In comes the 1st, and now it's time to brutalize some Khanate infantry. Looks like they're rethinking, charging the Nords. And it's a bit chaotic right now, but here's the group of enemies, right? When there's tons of infantry, focus on them. They're trying to get to our archers? Fuck no. Now, we should get reinforcements soon, but so is the enemy, right? They're going to have at least 2 waves. Right now, though, we're just mobbing everything in sight here. No horsemen's making it through this. 64 archers. It's an interesting Khanate force. They have a huge amount of horse archers and cavalry and not very many archers. All right, now we reset, right? The enemy's not really here in manifest numbers. This is your opportunity to pull all your troops back, catch your breath, take inventory of who's up, who's down. Let's pull this division back. These guys are getting way overextended. Just do a little bit of a reset. It's very tempting, you know, to just lose control of a battle. Fuck it, F1, F3. But in this situation where there's at least 10 more minutes of fighting, you want to just gather your composure here, right? Just pretend like you're asking that hot chick out. You know, you steel yourself for the moment, and then you totally blow it by looking at her tits, right? Let's make sure we focus here, not on her tits. We got archers that just came in, too. As soon as archers come in, charge with them. Oh, shit. Good job with that, horseman, boys. Sent him to the moon. Again, I'm going to leave that 2nd Division out in front while we work on the back here. There's a bunch of horsemen charging in, leaving that 2nd in the vanguard. And it might be unorthodox to some guys to use their best division as defense, but I'm telling you, this is how you're going to want to use the Nords. Especially because it looks like they're tier 6. What is this? Hold that thought. What the fuck are these? There's a whole bunch of brigands and low-level... Well, our troops are ghetto here. Maybe we're in trouble. Let's spread them out here and have them hold fire. We have 2 different squares. What do we have? 41 archers. Let's assign 1 division to attack the horse archers and prepare for the next wave here. We need to spread out in a hurry. 18, 72... What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the Nords, they're tier 6 guy. Unfortunately, they don't look like offensive beasts. They look like defensive beasts. A spear, a sword, an axe, and a shield. What does that tell you? And not a 2-handed axe. A 1-handed axe. That means they're going to be defensive wizards. Oh, shit. Well, we were ready for it. Look at this cav charge right into our false gap charge. And look at that death span. That's a cav charge, and they got obliterated. But we prepared for it, right? We had our squares set up. We had our division ready to attack. God, they insta-died. And that is another key with the Norse, right? Concentration. Make sure your units aren't spread out. Their infantry wants some. Good. We like combat. We concur. We welcome your attack. It's a good thing the enemy doesn't have high-level troops because we're down to mediocre troops all over the place. Our vanguard is still studly. I saw some elite units still in that vanguard. That second division is just stout. Now again, focusing on horse archers and cavalry behind us. Look at that death spam, right? Leaving that second out front, keeping the enemy busy, pulling troops back when they get overzealous. And sometimes you're better off just saying, everybody, follow me, right? Concentrate your forces. You're the magnet. Act like Matthew McConaughey with hot chicks. Just pull them all into you. Tell them, get over here. Could have offended. Oh shit, they got tons of weak horse archers. Everybody charge and let's put units right into their path. See where they're circling? Now, we send units directly there. We don't have cavalry, but we have fast-moving infantry, right? They're still getting those banners. I see banners. I see guys running around holding up the flag. That means these troops are still gaining those benefits. That means they're moving fast. And look at them just close in. Plus, the biggest thing is it totally overwhelms their cavalry. They can't move. I can't move. There's fucking so many dead horses. Quit killing them so fast that I can't move. There's dead horses running me over here. And these Khanate are getting butchered. Now that vanguard is still behind us, right? Every once in a while I'll glance back there. It looks like it's okay, right? And you're basically, you're stiff-arming the enemy with one hand and beating him to death with the other. Are they routing? Their archers are moving towards... Can't tell what they're doing. Some of these troops are definitely attacking. Let's position. It looks like they're trying to flank. I think they're trying to rout. They're fighting though. These sons of bitches haven't had enough, huh? And Eric the Red is starting to survive battles, right? With his athleticism and his hit points, he is turning into an absolute monster. Just a true Viking beast. Your shields are worthless, Khanate. Give up. we got a foot for everybody here. Everybody gets a kick. This battle's over. You're the one running. Call me a coward. And you forget sometimes how satisfying it is to swing a big old axe. Boss made you work an extra shift. Had to pay a bunch of taxes. Just use your two-handed axe and take your mercy, take your fucking violence out on them. I'm gonna beat these guys to death with my fists. You actually do good damage now. I don't know. I think they upped this damage. I've done 15 just by swinging fists. You can beat guys to death now in Bannerlord. Let's give them a one or two for the road here. And we'll look at the stats. So this is pretty resounding success, right? I would say we have 200 troops left at least. And we had, what, 800 against 1,200, right? That's a good result. That's a fist-pumping result right there. Now, that's probably a blur to you fellas, right? So we'll do an RTS overhead. 239 survivors. 300. We should have more than that. 239. I think we do have a lot more than that. We only had 347 casualties. So, my math says we should have like 450, right? This doesn't matter because we're just going to reload this and stay with us, right? We're going to reload this. And for you fellas that just watched that and was like, I don't know what the fuck you just did, hopefully a little overhead view here lets you see kind of the magic behind the chaos. All right, back in game. Yeah, 799, so 340. anyways, we lost 340. That's what my math says, or my memory says. Do all the same changes here. We want these two scenarios to be virtually identical. It doesn't really matter. It's not like we're going to be able to show one way or another. One of the formations is better. My assumption is we'll do a lot better on foot when I'm playing, because of course the character's killing 30, 40, 50 units. And I also just see the battlefield better from the field. You can see angles. You can see who's in trouble and assist them. It's actually a lot harder for me to command using the RTS mod. But this is a very good teaching tool. It's a very good demonstration tool for people. You know, maybe you just picked up the DLC last week and you need help, right? You're getting shot to pieces by horse archers. I got you covered. By the way, of course, you want to do this with cavalry. If you can get 100 cavalry in your army and make your circle out of cavalry, it will do better than infantry. And I have tested that. And we have other guides on the channel that cover that. You just do it with two cavalry deep on the ring. Make it about 30 yards wide, 30 meters wide for you metrics people. 60, 70 feet for you American folks. I was about to say American fucks. I guess I just did. we love all you fellas, everybody. It's an international audience here, and I love that. I get people speaking Russian, Spanish, German. I love it. I love all you fellas. Now that's about what you want, right? 2 guys deep. And we're going to do all this from the RTS overhead. I just want to make sure our units look good. We'll do this, make sure this guy's under control. So the AI is going to control my character. Maybe it'll get 3 kills or something tragic. But we will do this from above. Again, that circle, you want it positioned, about 30, 40 feet from any kind of reinforcement spot. Not reinforcement spot, from any kind of barrier that you're trying to hold. In this case, that wall towards the front. It's a good ridge. It prevents their archers from getting full line of sight on our troops. And again, I know this is a blur right now. This is just me moving the troops up. Bear with me here. Make sure my guy doesn't charge off and get killed. Where the hell are you going? All right. And of course, we'll speed through some of this process here. We got RTS mod. We can go a little faster than that. Try to expedite this a bit for you fellas. Now, you do not have to have the 2nd Division out in front. You can get creative. And again, the guide here is not supposed to be the empirical, you must play this way in Bannerlord. This is just inspirational, giving you guys tools. I want you guys to do your own thing, right? I don't want people, well, I guess I don't mind if you guys do, but guys don't have to replicate what we're doing on the channel here. The best thing is probably going to be about an amalgamation of what's comfortable for you and some of the stuff that we show on the channel. Now, 4th archers are behind the skirmishers, right? The skirmishers out in front, and you could put the skirmishers in a shield wall, or you can bracket the enemy like this. Let me show you a little alternative. What this does is it basically stops the Khazate from circling hard right in the face of your archers. One of the biggest dangers for archers is getting trampled by horse archers. Well, if you got this 6th Division right here, watch what we do, right? We're going to move them forward just aggressively into these horse archers. We just opened fire with the archers. Now the skirmishers get told to move forward. And while they do that, it's preventing the Khazate from circling right where we are, right? Instead of getting right in your horse and your archers' faces, these guys prevent that. They're moving up, they're chucking javelins, and they have shields, right? It's critical, of course, your skirmishers have shields. Now we can charge. These guys are going to get circled, but that's okay, right? They're doing damage. They're holding their little shields up, and don't forget, they got a nice little banner, right? Reduced archer damage. They're infantry, right? They can afford to get shot. That's what they're bred for. Our shock troops, nice and safe in the circle. The vanguards out in front absorbing a huge amount of arrows, right? All kinds of javelins are hitting them. They don't give a shit, right? These Huskarls, they're used to pain. Now the enemy's circling right through the center here. When they do that, I like to actually direct my shock troops towards them. Now they're starting to go around. It's still worth charging. You see how these divisions kind of had the enemy bracketed? If you charge here, it basically throws them into chaos, right? Both divisions are pinching at different angles. Your archers are shooting them. And anytime horse archers are sort of running around and not shooting, you're winning. Again, look at this, right? Our vanguard is just eating arrows. The circle is fine. And they're reserved, right? That division that's in that circle, those are your weak troops, right? So they're protected behind your best troops. And it's not great death spam, but those units I charged with are doing a pretty good job. Now these guys are out of order, right? This 3rd division, so we pull them back into the circle. Your shock troops are extremely vulnerable. They're one of the hardest unit in the game to use well. You really want to protect them. And obviously this formation is virtually designed for the shock troops. Now we're going to pull the 2nd division into the circle here. We're welcoming the enemy into the circle. Come on in, right? We want them to come in. That's why it's named the inner circle of hell. Once they're in like this, everybody charges. It's just zero. Select everybody, all charge. And what happens is a massive concentrated avalanche of forces. All of your units pour forward. I didn't mention it too. You hit line formation. That way every unit breaks out of their formation and charges into melee. This is the optimal goal for the Nords, is you want your forces fighting in hand-to-hand. If you can get your units fighting hand-to-hand together, you win. That's basically the bottom line. Once they get spread out, they're dead. Now we're getting reinforcements in. We want to keep an eye on our reinforcements. You saw me managing them in the first battle. It looks like we just got a bunch of archers. What I like to do with archers is if there's units around them, have them charge. That way they'll fire immediately. If there aren't units around them, in other words, if they're not under attack, have them move manually to the rest of your troops. This goes back to what I said a second ago. Keep your units together. If your units start getting spread out against horse archers, cavalry, you're fucked. They're going to start couch lancing you. It'll be chaos. Every single guy gets, a spear up his butt, and it goes really ugly. Put all your divisions together, and then reform your divisions, right? Make sure the 1st, 3rd, and 6th in this case are my primary 3 infantry divisions. We could put a few in the 2nd, but 58 still. That's amazing. That vanguard is just, they're tough, right? And that's going to be one of the joys of playing the Nords. Now it feels a little sloppier than when I fought down on, on the ground. Of course, again, we're not getting the 30. What did he kill? 30 or 40 that first battle? We're not getting those kills. But we still have this battle firmly under control. Right now, our forces are realigned. We can get the skirmishers behind this 2nd division. Again, you want this 2nd division out in front in a square. There's a whole bunch of horse archers coming up, right? Charge with your shock troops, right? In go your murderers. They're putting them in avalantons and axes over the head. And look at that death spam. It just fizzes, and it's all horse, dead horse, dead horse, dead horse archer. Horse archer died, horse archer died. The archers are safe. And they are just, the enemy's reeling here. Now, don't run down there, right? Keep resetting. I've mentioned it 4 times probably in this episode. Keep your troops together. This 6th division, again, they're blocking a close circle attempt. They're just holding this line. They're holding up their little dorky shields. Every once in a while, if the enemy gets close, be that little chihuahua, have them charge forward. It sort of pushes the Khanate back, and they're drilling these guys with javelins, right? You can see them throwing their little weak javelins. It still helps, right? It all adds up. Now here comes a big wave, right? So we're preparing for this into a square. We're going to charge at the first too. This looks like a mega charge by the enemy. And look at their cav charge. It just stopped dead. Now they die, right? Their momentum is killed. Here comes the 3rd division. The 1st, 3rd, 6th can all just be told to charge. The archers still are protected back here. Now, there's some cavalry leaking through, but there's also going to be a lot that don't have a rider because they got destroyed. There's horse archers circling us. It's messy at this stage, but I think we've done enough in this battle to win. Looks like Eric the Red just went down. Player agent is dead. But our forces remain concentrated. We have a thick infantry line there at the front. Reinforcements just came in, right? This is probably our last wave here, so we need to order these guys. Archers, again, charge. Let me reemphasize. For reinforcements, if the enemy's on your archers, and I don't mean like 2 horses, I mean lots of cavalry, lots of infantry, have them charge. But if there's not much on them, a handful of horsemen, point them to where you want them to go, which is almost always going to be somewhere behind, somewhere to the flank of the rest of your troops. If you charge and there's nobody around you, they will shoot hundreds of yards away and waste a lot of ammo. The enemy's kind of zerging our square still, but what do you think the results are going to be there, right? We can move up our skirmishers and archers here, and these horse archers are going to die fast. They are dying fast. Another wave just came in, but I don't think it's going to matter. In fact, they just did the same thing they did the first battle. They turned sideways. They've had enough, and away they go. And let's see how we did here. It's probably not quite as good as the first round. 340, right? My memory says we lost 340. 120 dead. It's good to work on a memory, right? Our phones are making us dumb fast, killing our memory. And okay, so a lot more casualties here, I think, almost 500, but it's still victory, right? It's still a battle. We probably lose. You know what? I'm going to do a wrap up here, but at the very end here, for those curious, I'm going to auto-resolve, and then I will also Sergeants in Charge to see what happens here. I'm actually really curious, right? Can the AI win this battle? We did that early in the series, and the AI actually did a pretty good job with the Nords. It put archers behind and cavalry in front. So, of course, if you want to see more from this series, friends, now's your time. The next component of this is going to be fighting the Nords, right? We are going to put the shoe on the other foot. We are going to fight the Nords, so you want to stay tuned for that. And let's just get to an auto-resolve here. All right, so we'll do this real quick. We're going to do an auto-resolve first, which is definitely going to go badly, and I'll show you why. Look at this. When you send troops, cavalry gain large bonus, horse archers gain large bonus. You don't notice any infantry gain bonus there. So we're going to lose, and holy we didn't just lose, we got spanked. I mean, we killed 300. They have 950 left in a battle where we massacred the enemy. So don't use auto-resolve. Now, make sure you build your tactics up. Of course, we haven't been building Eric the Red's tactics up, which is another key point on the channel, right? If you're building your own tactics on the battlefield, you don't need auto-resolve, right? Which means you could skip tactics, you could skip cunning, and assign your scout to cover that, right? That makes your whole army better. The simulation advantage is not very good for this level of tactics. All right, let's go ahead and reload this, and we will do Sergeants in Charge and see how the AI does. All right, assigned the same captains back to it, and now let's see what the AI does here. Be curious. Last time we used the Sergeants in Charge, they formed a nice center line and then archers behind here. All right. I mean, I can give this like a B plus or a B or something like that. Damn, they even have a square out in front. If I didn't know better, I would say that this is generative AI learning from our channel. I've never seen the AI do this before. There's a square of infantry, I think, out in front with a circle. I don't know where their archers are. I can hear them shooting maybe. This is incredible. They're moving it towards the center. I wonder if that square is actually archers in the middle. Doesn't matter. They're not shooting very well, but this is actually pretty good, right? That's a pretty good defensive structure here by the Nords. And a golf clap, right? I'm not playing. I can do a little golf clap in the background. Tail worlds, like this is pretty damn good. Now, let's see what happens over the course of this battle, right? The AI horse archers aren't doing a terrific job. They should be circling. They're sort of half circling and shooting. Now, there's a huge disadvantage to this tactic. This is a waiting game. Basically, the Nords here are trying to wait out the Khanate. Well, the Khanate, a lot of their horse archers have 2 quivers of arrows. Meanwhile, they're being shot from the other side. I'm not sure this is a winning strategy still. Don't forget, we're outnumbered in this battle by what? 400? Something like that? 450? So it's kind of a war of attrition. And I'm going to let this play out. Some guys are probably X'd out. There's probably 2 of you listening or watching still. That's fine. Still observing. And I have pleaded for Tail Worlds to continue to improve the AI. They have showed a consistency to a pattern of listening, right? They don't always, when I suggest something, they don't always do it, of course, right? There's lots of people with suggestions, and we're just one small fish in the ocean. Now, this is very bad. The AI Khanate here set up an attack pretty well. Cavalry on both flanks. The horse archers should be behind, but there's a lot of them circling too. And that was a pretty bad result for the Nords there. That was a pretty good concentrated attack by the AI. Their horse archers are regrouping too. This is where things are starting to break down. Like looking at it tactically, they went from a B to like a C minus here. They're sort of hodgepodge chasing horse archers. And of course it's difficult, right? When you have infantry, facing horse archers, the tendency is to want to chase them. Well, that's the worst thing you could do. You want to stay in position until you have opportune moments. It's very much a dance. They're doing almost exactly a 1-to-1 kill ratio, which we know is not going to succeed, right? We're outnumbered by a significant margin here. And look at this. This is the worst. All their troops are sort of scattered, and all you can hear is guys yelling and spears hitting them. Now there's a group of infantry that just came in. Those actually look like high level. I wonder if I had this set to homogeneous. I don't remember. We probably had this set to homogenized unit prioritization. Now that it's grown to chaos here, I'll just speed this along. And it's close, right? There's some nice waves of green. But ultimately, well, maybe they will succeed. I don't think so, though. It looks like they're trying to they're either routing or trying to reform. And it does look like they're going to get defeated. Now, I like this, right? This is good. And the reason is pretty simple. If there were no point in doing tactics to Bannerlord, I would say the game is not a very good game, right? I would say the campaign, the character build, the stealth system, all of these are decent. They're functional, enjoyable parts of a game. But tactics, to me, in Battlefield Command is the core of Bannerlord. It's just, there's so much variety, so many things you could do, so many choices. It's chess, right? There's 10 million moves, and not all of them have been tried. So we're going to wrap this episode up. I appreciate you, friends. Please hit that like button on the way out, and I will see you fellas next time.